What's happening, streamers? So I was searching on Amazon the other day, and I decided I wanted a more professional audio setup. This Yeti's pretty good and all, but it's just not cutting it. So I was looking at XLR setups, and the GoXLR caught my attention. So I went and bought a Blue Ember XLR mic and a GoXLR, as well as everything else I need to set it up. So this is officially the last video I'm going to record with this Yeti. It's kind of sad. I'm kind of sentimental. So I figure we'll unbox a couple of those things on video and then we'll get all hooked up and check it out. So stick around. And there will be time codes in the description for skipping the unboxing and going straight to the setup and the specs and whatnot. Okay, so first we have the Blue Ember, which is Blue's premier streamer microphone. I'm a pretty big fan of Blue. I've used the Yeti for like 4 years now, and I really friggin' love it, but gotta go XLR. Empty box, yeet. Empty sleeve, yeet. As is traditional with all Blue microphones, voice goes here, not here. You have no clue with how thin this is, how heavy it is. The Yeti and the Ember are probably almost the same weight. This is this is a brick. This is built. I love it. It's got a very nice polished like metal gloss to it. Empty box, yeet. Let's go ahead and get these knocked out of the way too. These were recommended to me for the Ember. This is the Samson condenser microphone shock mount, which is supposed to fit the Ember, even though it's super thin. And this is a generic-ass pop filter, which I was also told would work. This pop filter is pretty cool. It looks like it's about the right size. I got the smallest one they had because the Ember is so thin. So not sure how satisfied I'm going to be with this pop filter. The way it sits on top of the microphone here, I'm not a big fan of. I feel like the rubber bands are just going to come right off. And there's not very much room for it to really be adjusted. So we'll see how... Excuse me. We'll see how it sounds, and then we'll just go from there. Actually, I almost like it better with the top rubber band off, and it almost angles it upward like this. But it's much looser. It's going to bounce around a lot. What about that? That might work. We'll give that a shot. Empty box. Yeet. Oh, wow. This is way bigger than I thought it was going to be. The pictures do not do this justice. However, it does look like it's going to fit the Blue Ember there. So, pretty happy about that. Empty box, yeet. Now it's time for my baby. And I'm actually not going to yeet this box because I kind of like it. And I don't want to ruin it. And I want to keep it in case of returns. What's this? Oh, everything that's important. Yeet! Okay, so these sons of guns are actually going to be pretty complicated to set up. And I'm not going to be able to talk you through it because I'm going to have to dismantle this microphone. So I guess say goodbye to the Yeti for now. At least until I do some more like co-op streams and whatnot. Hello everyone. So we are back with the GoXLR, and probably the first thing you've noticed is that I'm dressed differently. And perhaps I've grown a little facial hair. Just kidding. Not even the Brio can pick up my facial hair. As it turns out, this microphone arm didn't have the right connector on, and I had to order a connector on Amazon and wait for it to come in to do this video. I was originally going to do the video with the mic propped on my desk, but that was a nightmare, so I was not going to do that. The second thing you might have noticed is that we have the GoXLR program pulled up, so we can dive right into some of the features it has. First things first, the Blue Ember's audio quality is friggin' delicious. I plugged this bad boy in, and it took me about 20 minutes to figure it out, but once I did, it started sounding buttery smooth, and I love it. I am in love. This shock mount is pretty good, too. I can bump around the arm pretty much, shake the desk even, and you don't get any sort of shock out of this thing at all. It's really, really impressive. I still have some doubts about this pop filter, though. It's a very nice material. It's very solid, but I don't feel like it's actually like breaking up the pops all that much. This is kind of the... And this is kind of the into the actual microphone. Okay, so when you open up the GoXLR app, it's going to look something like this. It's actually going to look like this. It's going to ask you for your mic setup. Basically, you just click condenser if it's a condenser mic, dynamic if it's a dynamic, and 3.5 millimeter if it's a 3.5 millimeter. You could even use the Yeti with this thing by plugging it in through the 3.5 millimeter. And I honestly don't know how that works exactly, but supposedly it does. It's in the instruction manual. It names the Blue Yeti by name, but I highly recommend the Ember. The audio quality is stellar compared to the Yeti. And if you're getting a GoXLR, you may as well get an XLR microphone since it's the same price as the Yeti. So the Ember is a condenser microphone, so I'm going to choose condenser here. I'm going to stick with the gain at 1 decibel. So this being a condenser microphone, it picks up just about everything. So the 1 decibel makes sure that it's not picking up barely anything. And by putting it very close to my face like this, it's able to pick up a lot of my voice without picking up a whole lot of the walls around me. By default, GoXLR is going to want you to end up in the good range. We don't care about that. We're going to ignore that. So then you're going to have your basic gate, equalizer, compressor, and de-esser settings. These are brilliant. So these are actually applied in order. So the gate will be applied to your voice before the equalizer will, and then the compressor, and then the de-esser, and so on. The gate creates a threshold, and as long as your volume level is under the threshold, the mic will turn off. This keeps things like ambient room noise out of your stream mix while you're not talking. Because we have such a low gain on the microphone by default, we actually want to bring that gate down to as low as it can, which is 2 for me. This just makes it to where the gain is active, but it's not cutting out the low ends of your voice if you're whispering or talking quietly. As you can see, if I bring this up, I start to talk a little bit quieter. Did you see it? You're going to notice eventually my voice is going to cut off. So I'm just going to keep talking, and I'm going to show it to you. Peter Piper picked. It doesn't take long at all for it to cut off completely. So I keep it at 2. I make sure that when I'm silent, there is no ambient noise. If you click this little dialog box next to it, will actually open up some extra features. These are only if you really know what you're doing, but they actually come in a lot of handy. Something like that. What's cool is if you hover over the name of each thing, it will actually tell you what it does. So you really don't have to be an audio expert. You just have to follow direction. There's our threshold. That's kind of what we were editing earlier. Again, I set this to about the lowest possible thing it can go. The attenuation is how much the sound will be reduced when the gate isn't open. So I keep this at 100% to make sure that no background noise gets through. The attack, I don't really know why gates care about what your attack setting is. You pretty much want it at the lowest possible time you can. That way, as soon as you start speaking, the gate opens for you. The release, though, is a little bit more important. You want to keep this in like maybe the 300 millisecond range. GoXLR recommends 250 to 350. It just makes sure that whenever you trail off at the end of your sentence, your words don't get cut off. And also the natural reverberation of your voice enters the gate just a little bit there at the end, just to make it sound natural. Equalizer, again, this is very, very simple. All you want to know is that you want to increase the bass a little bit and probably bring down the treble a little bit. Now, this will actually vary from person to person. If you're female, you probably don't really want to increase the bass too much. Now, the Ember itself actually has a bass increase and a little bit of a treble decrease built into it. The GoXLR just makes that more dramatic. As you can probably hear, adding the bass gives you that kind of radio sound where it's just got that deep kind of good like vibration to it. I actually have my treble set to +1. That isn't accurate. If I actually open the dialog box here, you can see better. I've got the bass turned up to 3. I've got my mids down to 0, like everything else. It's once I get to the really high parts that I start to bring it up again. That brings in a little bit of crispness to your voice, where just a little bit of high parts have just a little bit of a pop and crackle to them. Maybe a little bit of snap, too. You definitely want to keep this mid-range down 0 or below, or else your voice is going to come out very muddy. The compressor is amazing. All it does is it brings your whispers and your shouting down to about the same volume level. That way your viewers aren't turning you up when you're quiet, and you're also not blowing out their headphones when you're loud. I keep this at 100. It works pretty well. You go into the dialog box, you've got the threshold, which again you want to keep low. The ratio, you don't really need to mess with. It just shows how much compression happens as you go over the threshold. It brings your highs down further at the higher you set it. The attack, again, we want to keep this as low as possible. The release, we want to keep it about 100 milliseconds this time. The makeup gain, this we want to bring up. So compressors tend to just bring your tops down. They don't actually, it doesn't bring your lows up to the midpoint. it just brings your high, it tends to just bring your highs down. So the makeup gain makes sure that everything gets boosted up so that everything's getting into that mid volume range that you like. Last, we have the De-Esser. This is very simple. All it does is remove a hiss from your S sound. I had this at 100 at some point. It sounded like this. This is what microphone sounds like from default. And so you kind of want it in that maybe 75 range. That's where GoXLR, that's what Helicon recommends. You just got to play around with it. So all that just for the microphone setup. But after all that, your microphone is going to be sounding golden. And you had to deal with none of the complicatedness of working with an actual mixer. Next, we're going to go through the GoXLR's features up here. Now, this is basically a live feed of my GoXLR on my desk. So I can kind of lift it up and show you guys. Here's my GoXLR. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same. Basically, you have 4 channels that things can come through 4. But I have to compress my camera a lot for my green screen because my green screen only covers a portion of my background. So you have 4 sliders, and they are all you'll need to balance your audio. By default, you have microphone, voice chat, music, and system. Now, what you'll want to do is you'll want to route your audio in individual programs through to these channels. So for example, I have OBS pulled up here. We've got the microphone down here. If I go into properties, it's set as the broadcast stream mix. That just means that all of my audio is going through the GoXLR. All of it. All of it. My microphone, my desktop, my voice chat, my music, all of it is going through GoXLR, and the GoXLR is sending that directly to OBS. Nothing else is handled by OBS. What this means is I can play around with these sliders, and I will hear the changes live, and exactly what I hear is what the stream will hear. So for example, when you're setting up your chat voice, you're going to go into Discord, you're going to set your input device to be the chat mic, and the output device to be chat. That way your teammates are getting only your microphone pickup. They're getting nothing else coming out of the GoXLR like OBS is. And they're talking, all of the voices from your friends are coming into your headphones, but they're being managed by this slider down on GoXLR. So you can dynamically edit how loud and how soft your teammates are compared to you in the game. You can do the same with Spotify with your music slider. Your system slider is going to cover everything else. That's going to cover your games. That's going to cover your Windows notifications. Anything else you don't have set up to go to chat or to music. If we go into the mixer settings, we get a little bit more of advanced dialog boxes for each of these. You can do things like change the pictures that come up on each of these little LED icons here. You can also change the colors of the sliders and the mute button. And you get to choose which slider does what. I like to go with the defaults, which is mic, voice chat, music, system, but you can do whatever you like. There's an incredible amount of sources you can pick from. I almost wish there were a few more sliders. So you get the 4 main mixers on your dashboard, but here you can actually go in and edit each mix individually. So even though I don't have my game audio set as one of my presets for my sliders, I could potentially route something through game and edit it here, if it were something that I didn't have to edit the level of on the fly. So I actually just found this setting. There's a setting over here to adjust how much your mic is monitored through your headphones. So currently, the default settings have you hearing in your headphones exactly what the stream hears, including your microphone, which if you're streaming correctly, your microphone is going to be the loudest thing on stream. So what typically happens is your voice is the loudest thing on stream. Well, you turn down mic monitor, you can get that to a lower level. As well, there are 4 mute buttons down at the bottom of these sliders here. You can see as I'm pressing them that the sliders are actually moving. And there's motors in the sliders on the board, so they're actually moving as I'm pressing them. You get to determine what the mute button does. So by default, it mutes it to your headphones and it mutes it to the stream. It mutes it everywhere. But if you wanted to, you could have it to where it just mutes your mic to voice chat. If I wanted to, I could click mute on my mic, and then my teammates can no longer hear me, but I can still talk to my stream. You can do the same with mute to headphones and mute to stream. That way, if you wanted to, you could actually stream with music playing
without having the music play on stream. That way you don't have to worry about copyright. Or the other way around, if you are really annoyed by non-copyright music like me, then you can play music for your stream, but you don't have to listen to it yourself. Moving on to the effects part of the board. So here we're getting into the less traditional mixer things and now getting into the premium options of the GoXLR. The effects system is incredibly simple. On the side here, you see we have 6 presets, and each of those presets are saved to your profile. So you can keep them to be whatever you want. I've got big echo, saxophone, comms radio, hard-tuned music, demon, and tank. All I have to do to turn on my FX at any point in time once I've selected a profile is hit the FX button. Now, as you can see, my voice has changed dramatically. Even flow, thoughts arrive like butterflies. Why he don't know, so he chases them away. I love that song.
And now we bring you Smooth Jazz by GoXLR.
I recommend just playing with these settings and seeing what you like. There's not really any advice to give you. It's just a lot of really fun options, and you can really come up with some creative stuff. Now, routing simply determines what goes in and out of GoXLR's different channels. This graph's a little bit complicated. I had to watch a video to really understand it, but it's pretty simple once you look at it critically. You've got a line of inputs up here, and they match up with a line of outputs over here. So, for example, if you wanted to, you could turn off the system's input to the broadcast stream's output. What this would do is it would give you the opportunity in OBS to set the system volume as something separate from the rest of the mix volume so that you can monitor the system's volume in OBS and everything else's volume in the GoXLR if you so chose. What I like to do is I like to disable my microphone from my headphones completely so I hear no feedback. These headphones aren't very noise canceling, so I get a pretty good idea of what my voice sounds like anyway. I turn it on only when I need to find out where my voice balances with the rest of the mix, and then I can turn it on off for my stream. Another cool feature is that I can output anything from the GoXLR into my chat, besides chat itself, because that would just create a feedback. So for example, if I wanted to play some of my music over my chat microphone, I could do that just by clicking this check right here. And now you can annoy all your friends with your horrible, horrible music choices. Most importantly, we can annoy them with our samples, which we'll talk about that later. You can also choose what gets routed to your sampler. So when we talk about the sampler later on, you can choose whether or not you want to create samples just of your voice, or if you want to create them from your friend's voice or voices from the game. You could even take samples from your music and create like a live DJ mix going on, which I've never seen anybody do that, but I feel like that'd be pretty cool. Lastly, we come to the sampler, which is probably one of the coolest additions to the GoXLR. Basically, you don't really need any of these settings to start out. All you have to do to record a sample is hold down a button and then release it when you want to be done recording. Then tap it to play back the sample. For example, clouds to the left of me, jokers to the right, here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Timing is a little off there, and I need to work on my harmony skills, but you get the picture. So you can make your own samples that way, or you can just pull in samples from your computer by clicking this plus here. You can bring in waves and MP3 files. You can even bring in multiple samples into the same button, and it will play them sequentially or randomly, as you can determine by the play order here. You can also choose what pressing and releasing the button will do for you. I like stop on release because whenever I want to stop my horrible, horrible singing voice from coming in through my headphones, I can just release it. Stuck in the middle, stuck in. You can have 4 samples at a time in each profile, and you have access to 3 profiles. All right, lastly, we come to our bleep and our cough button. These don't actually have any settings associated with them. In fact, if we hit settings here, it just goes to our regular system settings, rather than the settings of these buttons. So the bleep does exactly what you think it's going to do. It bleeps you out. It cuts off your microphone and replaces it with a bleep sound. As you saw earlier in the mixer, you can actually adjust the bleep volume from here. I would have liked if they had included this setting right next to the bleep here in the menu. Maybe just as an ease of access thing. The last button we have here is the cough button, which essentially just acts as a fancy mute button. So you can press it whenever you cough, sneeze, or make other strange body noises, and your chat and stream won't pick that up. And that's it. That's the whole GoXLR. It's pretty darn simple. I gotta say, the GoXLR is very, very cool. I can't get over how neat some of these features are. However, it costs $400. And between spending $100 on a microphone and $25 on a shock mount and $10 on a pop filter and $20 on a boom arm and $400 on a mixer, I don't know if this is a $600 audio setup. This is definitely a premium mix board meant for streamers. So if you're just getting started streaming, I don't know that I can recommend it to you. But if you're really, really passionate and maybe you've made a little bit of money, go ahead and invest in this. You will not regret it. Plus, it seems like Amazon has some sort of credit function, but it isn't credit. Basically, like you get to pay it off over a few months, but they don't require any sort of credit card application or interest payments or anything like that. They just split it into 5 payments of $80 and take it out of your account once per month. It's super handy, and it made it possible for me to get this GoXLR for this video at this time and not a month from now. Come hit me up on my Discord or on Twitter, or better yet, my stream, if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. You can find me at twitch.tv/NeatOnTheRocks. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can find links in the description below for my Discord. If you don't want to take my word for it, go ahead and take Harris Heller's. He has an amazing video on the GoXLR, and he goes into a lot of the same things I go into, and I pretty much share his opinion. So if you want the opinion of someone a little bit more legitimate, perhaps check out his video too. When I started a YouTube channel, I was totally against telling people to like, comment, and subscribe, but it turns out the reason people do that is that it really, really helps the YouTube algorithm promote videos. So it turns out if you like the video and also comment on it and maybe subscribe to my channel, it actually helps me out a lot. So if you want to help me out a lot, you could do that. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this GoXLR unboxing and setup video. Have a jazzy night. I love you.